Hi YouTube. In my last video, I talked about my toxic sister-in-law and how there were red flags from the beginning, but I ignored them. If you haven't watched it already, the link to part 1 is in the description below. Also, please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up and a comment in the comments section to let me know what you think. I'm doing this series of videos to explain why I feel like my sister-in-law is dangerous and why the children and I are moving to get away. I'll make a separate video about the house situation and how we may actually be able to move into a new house in the next month. The picture in this video is a painting I did several years ago, and I feel like I was painting myself. It's funny how when you paint something, you tend to put a part of yourself into the artwork, even without trying. Something in your subconscious comes out in the painting, and I think I paint myself as the scapegoat, always lonely and feeling out of place, like the wolf howling at the moon, as if he's hoping someone will hear him. I'm taking this opportunity in my videos to showcase some of my artwork. Anyways, back to the subject at hand. Unfortunately, we can't choose our family of origin. Sometimes roles are assigned to us, and in my case, I was assigned the role of scapegoat. My toxic sister-in-law latched onto the fact that I am the family scapegoat from the time we met, and then tried to solidify that role. She used this to draw attention away from her histrionics and toxic behavior. She played the damsel in distress, which I think female borderlines or narcissists love to do to get you hooked, and my brother fell for it hard. In the last video, I outlined how she had thousands of dollars in credit card debt and IRS-backed taxes when she came to live with my parents. She had no driver's license because she had lost it in an accident with a failure to appear in court charge and had my mother drive her everywhere. She quit her job as soon as she was engaged to my brother because I think she thought she was marrying into money. She soon learned that my brother is the son husband and never left home and really didn't have a lot of money. I helped her get a job at my hospital, which she soon started calling out sick all the time and claiming everyone bullied her, from the Walmart greeter to the barista at the coffee shop. She took offense at what anyone said and would act as if she had been triggered. She would start crying and run up the stairs at every family meal. The incident that started the whole family drama was centered around my teenage daughter saying a curse word at the dinner table. It was in a conversation my daughter was having with me about something at school that didn't pertain to my sister-in-law, and she wasn't speaking to her at all. I told my daughter the band teacher was resigning, and she answered me saying, yeah, she's tired of all the bullshit. This led to my sister-in-law running up the stairs crying, and my brother demanding my daughter apologize, and then yelling at me when I didn't comply with his demands. I was not going to have my daughter apologize to a woman who is essentially a toddler having a temper tantrum. My sister-in-law always wants the attention on her, and if she can't get it, she stages some sort of drama in order to get it. I saw this firsthand during the wedding, that her entire family stages drama. One relative even yelled in the parking lot that he was going to walk home from the reception, and his family followed him in the minivan. It was like watching a reality TV show. Anyways, after her histrionic display of running up the stairs and my brother yelling at me and my daughter, I thought things had cooled off. I thought this was the end of it, until a few weeks later, my sister-in-law sat my mother down one night and started a smear campaign claiming I was the toxic one and I was causing all the family drama. She said she knew I didn't like her and she felt like I had turned my kids against her. Now, my kids had stopped liking her after an incident where she made several anti-gay slurs in front of my daughter, who's gay. My daughter has been bullied before at school over her sexuality, and now her aunt was making these comments in front of her, so it's understandable that my kids didn't like her. In this smear campaign, my sister-in-law told my mother not to say anything about their conversation. Of course, my mother told me everything, and at the time, I didn't realize I was being manipulated by both of them. I was being triangulated. It made me mad that my sister-in-law was trying to make me into the scapegoat and that she was using my mother as a go-between or a messenger. I felt like if she had a problem with me, she should come to me directly. I decided to confront her, and in hindsight, I should have never engaged. Toxic people thrive on conflict, and I think she wanted this confrontation, or maybe she felt like my mother wouldn't tell her, and she thought she was gaining an advantage over me. She and my brother live upstairs in my parents' house and refuse to move out or even try to save up to find a place of their own. They even have 2 dogs that my mother told them she did not want living in her home, but they ignore her wishes and continue to eat her food and not pay any bills. As long as they live under my mother's roof, my toxic sister-in-law is in control of the narrative. She has my mother's ear each day, and this upsets me. I feel like my mother was being manipulated and still is being manipulated by this woman because my mother has memory issues. She's 80 years old and forgets things. I now think she has some sort of selective memory because she seems to be able to remember things she wants to remember. Anyways, I decided I was going to have a rational and honest conversation with my sister-in-law to let her know that I never want to trigger her by any words that I say, but at the same time, she has a problem with me, and she should come to me face to face so we can talk about it. Of course, narcissists and toxic people are not capable of rationality. They thrive in the chaos. I went to my mother's house before I went to work and went upstairs. My mother tried to stop me, saying, "Don't go up there, don't go up there." In hindsight, I think my sister-in-law heard her but pretended she didn't. Later on, she would admit she heard her say, "Don't go up there," when she was accusing my mother of causing drama. My sister-in-law, Christina, that's her name, was sitting on the bed watching TV in the middle of the day when she should have been at work, at the job I helped her get. I knocked on the door and entered the room stating, "Christina, we need to talk." As soon as I entered, she sat up on the bed and waved her hands in the air. "No, we're not talking. We're not talking. Just leave. Just leave." I said, "I'll leave after I tell you what I came to say. You were very disrespectful to my mother by using her as a go-between. If you have a problem with me or my daughter, you need to come to me directly." At that point, she said, "Daniel and I," that's my brother, "Daniel and I didn't know she would tell you." I answered and said, "Look, you told Mom I'm the cause of all the drama, but you can't hold everyone hostage at the dinner table over our conversations and then run up the stairs. You're right, I don't like you, but I can respect you as my brother's wife." This caused her to leap off the bed and start waving her hands in the air. "You don't know the meaning of the word respect," is what she said. At that point, I was still being very calm, even though she was yelling. I wanted to show that I was the rational one. I said, "Why don't you tell me what it means? Tell me what respect means." That caused her to point to the door and scream at this point, "Just leave! This is our house!" Something about her saying this is our house triggered me. I said, "No, this is not your house. It's my parents' house. They just let you live here rent-free." That caused her to clutch her pearls, if she had pearls. She grabbed her chest, looking so offended, and then grabbed her phone. She dialed my brother and put him on speakerphone, yelling, "Daniel, I can't take this anymore. Your sister is here saying that she doesn't like me and that this isn't our home. I can't take this anymore. I won't live like this. I'm leaving." That's exactly how she sounded. I said very calmly, I had not raised my voice at all, saying, "Daniel, I will talk to you when you get home." She hung up the phone and grabbed a couple shirts out of her dresser. She pretended to pack them into a large purse and then grabbed her keys. My mother had come up the stairs at this point. She was waving her hands around too, saying, "Christina, please don't leave. Please don't leave." Christina brushed past her and ran down the stairs. My mother turned to me and said, "Do you want to lose your brother over this?" I said, "I haven't had a brother in a long time, and she's not leaving. She'll be back." My sister-in-law had done things like this many times. If she had an argument with my brother or someone in her family over the phone, she would drive to a local park and sit on a bench by a pond. I don't know if she had threatened to throw herself into the pond before, but my brother always freaked out when she staged these temper tantrums. I really think she is a borderline because my ex-husband would stage these times where he went off by himself and claimed he was going to unalive himself if I didn't give in to his demands. I once had to leave work when I was a teacher and leave my students with another teacher because he said he was going to throw himself off the top of his building at work. I was used to being played by a borderline, and this was no different. My brother came careening into the driveway shortly after she left, and he stormed through the side door of the house. His fists were balled, and his face was bright red. He said very loudly to me, "Let's take this outside." I really thought he wanted to hit me. We study body language in karate class, and he was on the edge of violence. I know he wanted to yell at me where it wasn't in front of our mother. See, the narcissist has a mask, and he didn't want his mask slipping in front of our mother. He's the son husband and the golden child, so he can do no wrong. I told him, "No, we're going to talk in here." He changed the tone of his voice because we were in the kitchen and in front of our mother. He said through clenched teeth and balled fists, "How dare you talk to my wife without me present? You should have waited until I got home." I told him that it was disrespectful for him and his wife to use our mother as a go-between or a messenger, and that if he had a problem with me, they should come to me directly. My brother was still angry and justified he and his wife's actions by saying that his wife was under a lot of stress and pressure and that she's a very delicate person. He said she had issues from her childhood that caused her to run up the stairs crying. I told him she needs professional help, and he actually agreed with me that he had tried to get her into counseling. He then accused me of driving his wife away and that I could have destroyed his marriage. He started to cry and said it had taken him over 40 years to find someone, and now I may have ruined it. He said that if I didn't like her, I should have said something before he married her. He almost sounded like he felt trapped being married to this woman, but I don't know when a narcissist is lying and when they're telling the truth. He was trying to keep his mask on in front of our mother, I think. I told him to go find his wife wherever she had gone, and that I loved him. We made up and hugged each other, but I would soon learn it was a false apology on his part, and he didn't really mean anything by it. He had just made up with me in front of our mother. I gave things a few weeks to calm down. I decided that we all needed a cooling off period, and maybe now that everything was out in the open and we had been honest with one another, that my family could go back to at least pretending to get along. I was wrong, of course. The kids and I stopped going out to my mother's house for dinner every night, and it was fun getting to cook for the kids again and letting them cook dinner some nights. The kids had been spending a lot more time at home anyways since the pandemic started, so they would experiment in the kitchen and had gotten really good at cooking. My daughter was especially proud of herself for learning how to make the perfect poached egg. Anyways, I gave it a few weeks and nothing was said, and I thought everything was back to normal until I got a dinner invitation one night. I now refer to that whole dinner and interrogation that followed as the come to Jesus meeting, or in my case, the scapegoat was put on trial in a kangaroo court. I'll go into the sneak attack dinner in part 3. This whole time I thought that my brother and sister-in-law were orchestrating everything, but in reality, I think my mother was engaging in some triangulation. She's having memory problems and some other health problems now that she's 80 years old, and I think in her mind she thinks she's trying to bring the family back together, but all it does is make the scapegoat look worse. All my efforts to be the perfect daughter never amount to anything. I'm the one who shows up to the hospital when she's having surgery or shows up to take her home when she's discharged, and yet I'm still the daughter that she says is hurtful and doesn't care if I hurt her feelings. I would love to hear about your experiences with toxic family members and triangulation. I think the only way we can heal is to get things out in the open and recognize we were abused, whether physically or emotionally, and learn from each other. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.